Hello.
Hello, is this Zach?
This is he.
Hey, how you doing? This is Dustin from KMSU Radio.
How you doing, Dustin?
I'm excellent. It's great to have you on today.
Thanks, man.
I'm here with my co-host, Ton.
Hey, glad to have you on the show.
How you guys doing?
We are fantastic. If you're ready, we will get started here.
Awesome. If there's any way I can sort of throw my Twitter handle on there, that would be awesome, too.
Yeah, you can throw whatever you like.
Throw all kinds of stuff around. I don't care.
Well, we'll start off first and ask you if you can tell us a little bit about, how you got started in acting.
Wow. Sure. Well, I was born and raised in Manhattan, in New York City, and I started doing high school plays. My high school was at 77th and Broadway, which is pretty much, I wouldn't say midtown, but it's definitely in the heart of Manhattan. And a lot of casting directors would scout for talent, and obviously, something that's 20 blocks away is definitely a hot spot for them. So I was doing a couple of pieces. I actually was doing a monologue from a British comedy show called Beyond the Fringe, and which was Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. And they came and saw me doing this monologue, and, actually it was a particular woman came and saw me, and she thought I'd be right for a couple of movies. So she had me audition for a couple, and I didn't get them. But I said, wow, if I got more auditions, I feel like I'd actually book something. And she said, well, you need an agent. And I said, what's that? And she said, it's the person who gets you more auditions. And I said, well, how do I get one of those? And she said, well, most people have to work really hard, but why don't you sit still, let me talk to your mom, and I'll make a few phone calls. And she made a few phone calls. The next thing I knew, I had an agent.
Wow.
It kind of fell into my lap, to be honest.
Yeah.
So then how did all that turn into working on Gremlins?
Well, people always say, like, how did you get the part? Like, there'd be some really thrilling, exciting story. But it's really pretty simple. I met the casting director, and then she brought me back 2 days later, and I met the producer. And Joe Dante, the director, actually was sick because he doesn't like to fly, so he was, like, plane sick. So I couldn't meet him that day. So he said, can you come back tomorrow, and maybe we'll pair you with somebody, and you guys can read. So I came back the next day, and I met Joe. He was feeling a little bit better. And they paired me with Phoebe Cates. And we read our scene together. The only scene that we had, they didn't give us the script or tell us anything about, we knew the title was Gremlins, but we didn't know anything about the plot line. So the only scene that they gave us was me asking Phoebe out on a date, which, as you know, could come from practically any movie.
Sure.
So we did that scene, and I guess they thought we had cute chemistry, and the next thing I know, I got the part. That's just, it happened again, kind of more falling into your lap.
Well, what was it like on the set? Do you have any, like a favorite story or anything you remember in particular?
Here's the thing about Gremlins, which is kind of interesting. Because we used the animatronics as opposed, there was no CGI back then. The only thing that was even close to it was like claymation or stop motion animation. You're talking 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to do these, use the animatronics, and because there were wires and cables and prosthetics and stuff like that, they would break a lot. They were fallible. So I remember we were shooting this scene where my dad gives me the Christmas present in the beginning, and I unwrap it and open it, and we see Gizmo for the first time when he pops out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog was really excited. The Gizmo was so believable that the dog was getting frantic and kind of wanted to attack the thing because it looked like a real animal, And it didn't smell like a real animal, but it was visually confusing enough to the dog so that the dog kind of wanted to sniff it or lick it and whatever. In fact, the dog actually in the movie is licking it. Why Gizmo doesn't start to multiply with the saliva, I don't know. But I guess they just kind of went around that. So anyway, so the dog is gets enthusiastic and steps on Gizmo's ear and snaps it off. Man. So I was like, uh-oh, that doesn't look good. And the special effects guy come over, and they're sort of, sighing and grunting and groaning, and they're all kind of annoyed. And they look at it, and Joe Dante goes, how long are we looking at? Kind of like, someone fixing a car. And the guy goes, yeah, that'll be about 9 hours. And I was like, 9 hours? They were like, yeah. So I was like, what am I going to do? I said, can I go home? And they're like, no, we're probably going to be done, probably at around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So we can probably still squeeze in a couple of shots by the end of the day. So I basically had 9 hours off, went to Spielberg's office, and played his video games all day.
Awesome. Now, that's obviously been a lot of people's favorite films of their childhood and stuff. We have a major debate going on. Now, we need it from you, Gremlins. Christmas movie or horror movie?
Christmas horror movie. It's the best of both worlds. Remember it came out in June, which was kind of cool because, you're sort of, you're sort of looking forward to Christmas in June as opposed to inundated with Christmas in December.
Sure.
So it was kind of counter-programming, but I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's just become a Christmas movie because I've heard of all sorts of families that get together and watch Gremlins every single Christmas once a year, kind of like A Christmas Story.
So it's Christmas horror and not horror Christmas.
Exactly.
So then,
Yes.
then we're right.
Yes.
Yes,
And you would be the authority on that, so then we
Yeah.
win.
that is correct.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, obviously, you returned in Gremlins 2 when they did the sequel. Was there ever a talk of doing a third one? Or I also heard there was maybe a remake in the
They
works?
batted around Gremlins 3 for years, Gremlins in Vegas, Gremlins in London, all of these plans and stuff like that. And then basically so much time went by that I think the Warner Brothers executives were like, dude, it's been, basically 25 years since Gremlins 2. You can't do Gremlins 3 with a quarter-century gap. So they kind of decided to do a reboot, which they're, underway doing right now.
It would have made sense to do it when the Furby was huge, maybe. Did you get kickbacks from that at all? Or
I didn't get a single penny from the merchandising at
Man.
all. I had to sign my life away for all the merchandising.
Man.
And it made $1 billion in 1984 money, too.
Yikes.
So I'd be sitting pretty if I'd signed that, but it was a no-go. It was a make-or-break thing. No actor who was going to play Billy was ever going to get a nickel from that money.
I suppose you probably didn't realize how huge it would be at the time either.
I kind of realized, remember, because there was Star Wars, the figurines and everything like that. Yeah, I kind of had an idea. And I was, at the time, even at 19, I was savvy enough to be kind of annoyed by it, but they were like, hey, it's make or break. I was like, well, I guess I'm doing the movie.
Yeah. Well, another film that we love you in would be Waxwork. So you're in both of those. Can you tell us a little bit about those? Or do you get recognized for those a lot?
I actually get recognized surprisingly a lot for those, especially when I go to horror conventions. A lot of times people come up and go, I didn't really like Gremlins. I thought it was kind of soft and silly, but I love Waxwork because it's full of blood and guts and horror. And I was like, okay, that's cool. If that's what you want. I mean, if you see the unrated version of Waxwork, it's a pretty violent movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it definitely has its major cult following, even 25 years later.
And now, obviously, you are in the new film Hatchet III and working with a lot of, horror film legends, I guess you'd say. Kane Hodder and Sid Haig and, Caroline Williams from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what we can expect?
You can expect gore, violence, mayhem, chainsaws, everything. Everything that you would want from a horror movie, you're going to see in Hatchet 3. It's a horror, comedy, action, thriller. It's 82 minutes long, and not a second is wasted. It's just a nonstop, start-to-finish thrill ride.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
So will there be any chances for merchandising with this film, you think? Or?
Probably. Again, I will be penniless from it, but still, it was fun.
Did you ever think in the beginning there that you'd end up working so much horror kind of films, or?
I didn't really think of it that way, but I mean, I was really a horror fan when I was a kid, so maybe I sort of naturally gravitate towards horror in terms of my enthusiasm for the project because I love the genre so much, maybe? I don't know.
Well, is there anything else you have upcoming or any projects you're working on besides the new Hatchet?
Not at the moment. The only other project I have is getting my Twitter follower base up at ZWGman on Twitter, if you guys follow it out there.
Yeah, we'll get that out for you.
Cool.
I don't know if we have as much clout as as you think, but we'll do our best.
Every little bit helps.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, it's been great having you on the show. We really look forward to the new film, and we'll see you on Twitter.
You got it.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.